And what happens with Rogan sometimes is he'll hear somebody that's on the dangerous end of the spectrum, and he'll just kind of soak it in.
And this is, I think this is a great point. And it's whoever job who thinks that that information is dangerous, to fight to get their point of view out there to counter what they think is misinformation. You can't just deputize people to say he should have known better and he should have prosecuted that point.
But the reality is, John, is that it might be my job or the New York Times job or even your job, but I don't have the audience that Joe Rogan does.
Then get it.
Yeah,
then find
get
people
it.
Who do, then go on that show.
Jon Stewart has just done the unthinkable. He's defended conservatives, and the liberal world is losing its mind. For years, many on the left have refused to extend even basic empathy toward conservatives, treating them like outsiders or worse, enemies. But when Stewart, once hailed as a hero of the liberal establishment, dared to cross that invisible line, it sent shockwaves through progressive circles. The same people who once cheered him are now calling him a traitor. What happened here isn't just about Stewart. It's about what happens when truth and integrity clash with tribal loyalty. And honestly, even I was stunned. There's a lot to unpack. So let's dive right in.
You've been on Rogan a couple of times?
Yes.
What did you think of that experience, being on Joe Rogan?
I enjoyed being on Rogan. I think he's an interesting interviewer. There are right-wing, weaponized commentators whose sole purpose is to manipulate things to the benefit of the Bannon Project or the Project 2025. Rogan's not that guy.
What is that guy? How would you describe
That guy
it?
is a curious comic who fell into this thing that got enormous, maybe doesn't, has opinions all over the political spectrum, but has tendencies that people on the left does not fit the aesthetic.
Yes, you heard that right. Jon Stewart, the longtime darling of the left, just defended Joe Rogan, and it's causing chaos in liberal circles. For years, Rogan has been a thorn in the side of progressives, calling out hypocrisy and questioning left-wing narratives that few dare to touch. Instead of engaging with his ideas, the left often chose to vilify him, labeling him dangerous, spreading half-truths, and turning him into a political punching bag. But when Stewart refused to join the pile-on and instead defended Rogan's right to speak freely, it hit the establishment like a thunderclap. One of their own had gone off script, and that made them furious.
He's a hunter.
In fairness, he's had people on who are kind of Nazi curious. That's not good.
I've interviewed Kissinger. And he was carpet bomb curious. I don't know what to say. It's very easy to castigate those where we're but he had an opinion a few years back that's, corrosive.
But the difference is when he was carpet bomb curious, you didn't say, oh yeah, that's awesome.
It's clear the interviewer was trying to bait Jon Stewart into throwing Joe Rogan under the bus. But Stewart didn't take it. Instead, he sidestepped the trap with the confidence of a seasoned comedian who's seen this game before. For years, many on the left have branded Rogan everything from problematic to Nazi, weaponizing those labels to silence anyone who questions liberal orthodoxy. This question was designed to make Stewart repeat that lazy accusation, but he didn't. He knew that Americans are growing tired of seeing the term Nazi misused to shut down debate. Stewart recognized that this overuse has stripped the word of meaning, and that branding everyone who disagrees as evil only deepens division.
And what happens with Rogan sometimes is he'll hear somebody that's on the dangerous end of the spectrum, and he'll just kind of soak it in.
And this is, I think this is a great point. And it's whoever job who thinks that that information is dangerous, to fight to get their point of view out there to counter what they think is misinformation. You can't just deputize people to say he should have known better and he should have prosecuted that point.
But the reality is, John, is that it might be my job or the New York Times job or even your job, but I don't have the audience that Joe Rogan does.
Then get it.
Yeah,
then
go
find
get
people
it.
who do, then go on that show.
Once again, Jon Stewart refused to take the bait. When the interviewer echoed the usual talking points about Rogan spreading misinformation, Stewart didn't flinch. He saw right through it. The word misinformation has become the left's favorite weapon, used to silence any narrative that doesn't align with their worldview. When it benefits them, it's verified fact. When it doesn't, it's dangerous misinformation. Stewart calmly exposed that hypocrisy, reminding everyone that disagreement isn't a crime. It's the foundation of democracy. His refusal to condemn Rogan wasn't weakness. It was a quiet act of rebellion against a culture that confuses censorship with truth.
Then do those things. Like it's not acceptable to just say, well, I don't like what he does. Then do it better, beat them at their own game. It's not enough to just complain that that guy got a platform and don't platform that guy. There's no one in this world right now that isn't platformed. And my biggest frustration, honestly, with a lot of scientists is they all go, RFK, oh, he's so f***ed up, that's terrible information. Oh, okay, what's the information?
And Stewart's point here is spot on. If leftists truly believe conservatives are spreading misinformation, then why not counter it with truth and evidence? That's how a free society works. But instead of debate, many on the left resort to cancellation and shame. They don't want to prove you wrong. They want to erase you. Stewart's words hit at the heart of the problem. If your ideas are strong, they shouldn't need censorship to survive. Yet the default response to opposing viewpoints has become deplatforming, not discussion. By calling for honest debate, Stewart exposes a deep hypocrisy, that those who preach tolerance are often the first to silence it.
I've got people in my family that are to the right of Attila the Hun. And when people tell me, like, how can you platform that person on your show? I go, I platform my uncle every Thanksgiving. And by the way, I love him. He's a three-dimensional human being who has qualities that I really admire. Things about him. And we've lost that. We've lost the ability to love people because we litmus test at every point.
Jon Stewart is calling out the left's growing refusal to engage with anyone who doesn't share their worldview. Instead of conversation, there's cancellation. Instead of debate, there's dismissal. Stewart believes this knee-jerk hostility is what's tearing the country apart. True unity isn't built through silence or censorship. It's built through honest, even uncomfortable dialogue. If liberals truly care about progress, Stewart argues, they must stop demonizing conservatives as villains and start seeing them as fellow Americans. His message is simple. We can't rebuild trust by shouting each other down. And coming from a man who's criticized both sides for decades, that message carries real weight.
Jeremy Fassler says on X, quote, we'd come so much closer to solving racism in America if white people realized the nice relatives they sit across from at Thanksgiving wouldn't be so nice to them if they weren't white. And writer Josh Olson says, quote, the right wants to take basic human rights away from multiple members of my family and other people I love. No one who shares those views is welcome in my home or my family, ever. Jon Stewart is so wrong on this, it's jaw-dropping.
And that's exactly the problem Stewart's been highlighting. The left has become so trapped in its own ideology that it no longer listens. Debate has been replaced with moral certainty, and disagreement is treated like hate. Progressives often frame issues, like gender transitions for minors or biological males in women's sports, as simple matters of rights. But they refuse to acknowledge the fears and frustrations of those affected by these policies. Stewart's point isn't about taking sides. It's about reminding people that empathy must go both ways. Ignoring other perspectives isn't compassion. It's arrogance dressed up as virtue.
Joe Rogan is a comedian and actor and game show host who is curious and started doing this podcast where he platforms, even that word is so getting to be so annoying. He interviews, has conversations with a wide variety of people, from people on the right, the very far right, to people on the very far left, including Bernie Sanders. This is one of the biggest shows there is. The audience is massive. If Kamala Harris had availed herself of the opportunity to be on it and do a good job, it would have helped her. She lacked, I think, confidence that she would do a good job, so she didn't do it.
Joe Rogan's approach proves this perfectly. He invites anyone, scientists, politicians, comedians, regular people, to have an honest conversation. His podcast isn't an echo chamber. It's a platform for real dialogue. And that's exactly why figures like Kamala Harris have avoided it. Reports say her team declined Rogan's invite out of fear she'd face unfiltered questions. No scripts, no pre-approved talking points. Joe even offered to tailor the interview to her comfort level. But she still declined. That's not confidence, that's fear of transparency. Rogan's show rewards authenticity, and clearly, not everyone's ready for that.
Not every single Rogan episode or interview takes the conversation in exactly a direction I would or I like, but that's fine. It's not exactly for me. It's for a wide swath of real Americans who have confusing views and views that are all over the place. They have right-wing views on social issues and left-wing views on economic issues, or vice versa. And David Remnick was like, "Oh, this is Nazi adjacent." Well, yeah, people have Nazi-adjacent views out there, and you could no longer just ignore this kind of speaks to what I talked about in my radar. We no longer live in a world where there's a small number of TV channels and a small number of book publishers.
Rogan's views cover every angle, left, right, and center, making his show unpredictable and refreshingly real. You never know where a discussion might go, and that's exactly why millions keep watching. Even when guests challenge his core audience, they stay. Because Rogan isn't trying to build an echo chamber, he's trying to break one. In a media world filled with ideological bubbles, his podcast stands out as one of the last real spaces for honest debate. It's messy. It's imperfect, but it's real. And that's what society desperately needs.
You can effectively keep views that you think are too extreme outside of that you can keep them out of being discussed. You just can't do that anymore. The internet has made that impossible. So the reality is you're going to have to live alongside with people who are spouting views you don't agree with and find out how to. And some of these views are very dangerous and should be argued against, but you have to actually do that work, do that labor. You can't just say, it's wrong to engage them, they're going to go.
As Bill Maher often says, the only way to fight bad speech is with better speech. You don't silence ignorance, you expose it, debate it, and let truth win on its own merit. If progressives believe conservatives are spreading misinformation, the answer isn't censorship, it's engagement. Yet too often, the left chooses avoidance over discussion, deepening division and distrust. Dialogue may be uncomfortable, but it's the only way democracy survives. In the end, Jon Stewart's defense of Joe Rogan isn't about politics, it's about principle. It's a reminder that free speech is the cornerstone of any free society. Silencing your opponents doesn't make them disappear, it only drives them underground. Stewart's stand, echoed by voices like Bill Maher, challenges the left to rediscover debate over demonization. True progress doesn't come from censorship. It comes from conversation. Whether you agree with Rogan or not, defending his right to speak freely defends everyone's right to be heard. And that's where we'll leave it today. If you enjoyed this breakdown, hit the like button and subscribe for more videos like this. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.